when your father was shot, how you heard, how you reacted.
I was with my kids. I was out, it was a Saturday evening. I was out with my kids just being a dad. And Kim gave me a call and said, your dad's been shot. But that was literally the only information that we had out there, Rob. I didn't know anything for a while. I tried calling everyone, just tried to get my kids home and secure. They weren't sure if it was a bigger thing. I live in Jupiter, Florida. Jupiter PD was all over my house, just incredible people doing an amazing job. Just no one really knew what to expect. And it took me about 90 minutes for me to actually break through to anyone that had any kind of information or any kind of detail. So as you can imagine, that was sort of an interesting time. I knew he'd been shot, but I didn't have any other details or any real information. Couldn't get a hold of anyone on the team. So it was a pretty rough,
you didn't know,
it was a pretty rough and somber
90
evening.
minutes?
Correct.
That's terrifying.
Yeah,
I can't imagine.
Strangely enough, during that time, it was getting the kids together, it was getting the family together, making sure everyone was okay, and waiting. It was actually, once I even spoke to him after that 90 minutes, I finally got him on the phone, and he was actually in great spirits. Understanding the sort of the gravity of the moment. But I just said, man, that fist pump, that fight after getting shot. Everyone thinks they're a tough guy, especially these days with the internet. But watching that was true resolve. And I just told him, I said, man, I think you're the biggest badass I've ever met. And I couldn't be more proud to be your son. And that was sort of the icebreaker. And finally, everyone was like, okay, like we can be a family and have some fun. And my ex-wife is there, my daughter's there, and Kim is there, and Eric's on the phone, and Laura, and we're just like on speakerphone, just having this moment, because again, I think they just locked down all the cell phones and they shut off all communications, I guess, in precautionary, for potential IEDs or whatever, when they didn't know what was going on. So, that was a long 90 minutes, but it was actually after that conversation, you sit down, you start watching the videos, and you read the stories and and it's like, that's when it hits you. That adrenaline dump finally releases, and that was pretty crushing.
I can't even imagine. I mean, and he told the New York Post today he should be dead, and he should be. That close of a shot, how that lapse happened. I mean, it's a miracle that he's alive. It is a miracle that he's alive. I've never seen anything like it. I wanted to get your reaction real quick to the reporting that we're seeing that the DHS under Alejandro Mayorkas has been avoiding giving your father the protection that he needs, while also refusing it for Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that anything surprises me anymore as it relates to some of this stuff, or the way that they've conducted themselves, whether it's basic security, whether it's the way they've weaponized the FBI, whether it's the way they've weaponized the DOJ against their political enemies, and not just my father. You look at conservatives across the board who, they're getting information from people who bought Bibles, because that's the biggest threat to democracy, not, some lunatic trans shooter that shoots up a Christian school. That's, I guess they had that coming or something like that. These are the messages we've seen from the left. It's what you saw George Stephanopoulos on ABC News. Well, Trump's contributed to this too. It's like, really, man? Like, I dealt with it, actually, Rob, I dealt with it today on the floor. I'm going onto the floor to help cast the delegates for, with my brother, who's, I guess, the chief delegate from Florida. I was one of them. We throw my father over the ballot, the nomination. And there's a clown there from MSNBC. So does this bring back the vitriol and Trump rhetoric that we experience? I go, wait, like, was it Trump or was it you guys? Because I know Trump created peace. He did peace deals in the Middle East. That was the Holy Grail. He created prosperity. He created jobs. All of that noise, all of the vitriol was created by you guys. You guys peddled Russia, Russia, Russia. Yeah. You called half the country fascists and Nazis and everything else that you could call them for 8 years. It was all nonsense. It didn't matter. You guys did. It was you guys that did that. Well, what do you say about Trump putting children in cages? I go, oh, you mean the Obama administration cages? Yeah, the Obama administration. That's not true. I mean, we can fact check him in real time, because it is true, and everyone knows it.
Yeah, it is
but
true.
He tries it. So I said, listen, man, you're a clown. You're doing the. You couldn't wait 48 hours. They couldn't wait 48 hours, Rob, to go back to doing their job, which is being the lapdogs of a propaganda leftist regime. That's the Democrat Party today. It's failed us across the board. It's failed us in every metric. I would love for Joe Biden to be successful, so I don't have to do the stuff like I've had to deal with, or have to deal with the stuff that I did this weekend. I'd love not to have to do that, but at this point, we don't have a choice. The media is not going to do it, and the Democrats have failed us miserably.
I want to ask you about JD Vance. This afternoon was all about him. You pushed very hard for this vice presidential pick. Your father listened. What is it that draws you to JD Vance?
I've gotten to know the guy over the last couple of years. Honestly, I loved his book when it first came out, and then he was one of those people. He was not for my father in 16. He wasn't. And by the way, if you were, neither was anyone else in Washington, D.C. or anyone else that was political, because is the brash billionaire from New York, is that the guy that's going to be able to deliver? I understand that, but when he saw the policies in action, when he saw the successes, he changed his tune entirely. He then enters the United States Senate, and it was just a rock star in a place where we have a lot of squishy weaklings, people who are unwilling to engage, people who simply accept the narrative of like the guy from MSDNC earlier today. I'm not going to accept his lie or his narrative. I'm going to push back. Yeah. JD's maybe the most articulate fighter in that. And when you read his story or even watch the movie, Hillbilly Elegy, coming from Appalachia, as poor can be, growing up, gets through high school, he joins the Marine Corps before going to college, not afterwards, when it's like, well, I want to be in politics, so I'm going to go check the box of military. He did it out of high school. Then goes on to become a successful businessman, a rock star in the Senate. And he's young. So the party of America first, the MAGA movement, to have a guy that's young to take it, not someone who's going to revert back to the neocon, exactly warmongering policies of so many of the right weaklings in Washington, D.C. I think that's huge because America first is here to stay.
I love that. Don Jr., thank you so much for joining us. I know you've had a rough couple days, but I hope we can enjoy this week. It should be a good one. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rob. Appreciate it.